Let's talk about sleeping, especially when you have any level of chronic pain, a vestibular condition, or even persistent tinnitus. So, when you have really persistent unwanted bodily signals that are potentially generating in and of themselves a trauma habit, a reflex, a trauma response. So, we might be feeling unusual sensations or hearing unusual noises or, feeling gripping, tight, painful, pulsing muscles. How do we sleep? I always come back to the body scan. Whenever there is a kind of a difficult, unusual, unwanted bodily sensation, it's usually contracted and located. So, with the example of tinnitus, it's sound usually around the head and ears. With vestibular conditions, it could be like a cotton wool feeling in the head, or it could be this rocking, swaying feeling. Often people will talk about the head, but not always. And then you could have chronic pain anywhere in the body, but it's usually located. People will point to it. So, what we want to do is to begin expanding our awareness to the whole body and all eight senses. So, it could be that there are error signals and neural pathways that are not making sense in part of your body and in part of your eight senses. So, again, going back to persistent tinnitus or vestibular disorders, between the vestibular organs and the cochlea, the auditory organs, there are error messages going on. It doesn't feel right, doesn't sound right. But guess what? We've got eight senses and we've got a whole body. So you can actually expand your awareness using body scanning. And I'll often say to people, start with your feet. Wiggle your toes, feel the arches of your feet, massage your heels. You can even play footsies with yourself. Like actually bring yourself down into touch, right? You've got taste, touch, smell, sight, sound, vestibular, proprioception, and interoception. So start moving towards parts of the body where you can feel some lightness, some pleasure, some play, to activate more areas of your brain firing, but also to interrupt those trauma loops. That if I focus on the pain, if I focus on the symptom, I generate more of a fear response, a rejection response, and that circulates more of those stress and fear chemicals, the cortisol, adrenaline and corticosteroid, you know what I mean. The stress pathways are activated chemically. There is a cascade effect. However, if we wiggle the toes or even play with our fingertips and just do this kind of thing with our hands, we generate more of a lighter, subtle sensation of pleasure. We awaken new neural fibers. And then we draw some of that attention away from the symptoms. We draw some of that neurological attention towards something that is pleasant, delightful, calming, soothing, centering. So we're shifting away from the stress response and into more of a pleasure response and a love response, having connection, loving connection to ourselves, to our own body. So I'll often encourage my clients to go from the pelvis down through the legs, through the knees, through the ankles to the feet, and really draw their attention into scanning what they're feeling through touch and proprioception. So you might be lying in bed at nighttime with your eyes closed and feel where your feet are, feel where your toes are. See if you can feel the webbing between your toes, like literally connect to your body and let your body ground you and absorb that pain, that chronic pain or those chronic symptoms. I'll sometimes say to my tinnitus community members, draw the sound out of your ears and head and down into your feet. Like use your awareness to take that signal, take the attention and the energy away from the head. So we want to bring the whole body along, which is exactly what body scanning does. As you activate all of your eight senses and activate more awareness of your whole body, so the back of the head, the back of the shoulders, all the way along the arms, through the elbows, wrists, fingers, palms, top of the hand, back of the hand, the armpits, the front of the chest, the belly, the heart center, the front of the pelvis, back of the pelvis, all of your ribs. There is so much real estate for you to bring awareness to that is not actually distracting yourself from symptoms or avoiding symptoms because they're a part of the whole body scan. But what it does is it acknowledges the reality of that pain and it acknowledges the reality of that difficult, persistent sensation. And then it goes, and there's more. This is not all of who you are. You are not just this pain. You are not just this vestibular condition. You are not just this tinnitus. You also have this pleasure feeling in your feet. You also have this taste in your mouth and your lips. You also have the smells in your room. And so if it helps you sleep, to use some essential oils or something, or fresh herbs or fresh flowers, have those fragrances and aromas literally beside you as you sleep to help you access more of your eight senses. You can play with this. Sometimes I'll have people gently playing their favorite music, classical music or nature music, because that activates their auditory senses, their hearing, in a way that generates a loving feeling, a safe feeling, a connected feeling. So they're actually playing with their eight senses in a way that actively interrupts those repeating stress loops and trauma signals. So when we focus on the pain, the symptoms, um, and the parts of ourselves that are difficult, when we overly focus, we get lots of stress and trauma responses, a lot more stress chemicals, and we get this density, this cluster of pain. When we expand into the whole body scan and literally actively awaken more of our eight senses, which you learn to do specifically in the Rocksteady and the Sensing Ground programs, we talk about this intimately. When you learn to access all of your eight senses, you're distributing the neurological load, which means you don't just get lots and lots of pain. You acknowledge the pain and then you look for more and more pleasure and connection and the subtle delights in life. You can smell the roses and still have pain. You can wiggle your toes and still have that vestibular discomfort. You can actually have steadiness and groundedness feeling in the back of your shoulders laying on the bed, alongside maybe some feelings of dizziness. So we don't get so consumed by the symptoms and we're able to focus in more on our steadiness signals, our grounded signals, our calming signals. And we do that through our body. The body is the compass and the body will help us eventually fall asleep. So within the Rocksteady program, I have sleeping scans which people can use. And the purpose of those sleeping body scans is not to fall asleep. It's to put the body in an identical form of rest. So when you're connected to your eight senses and body scanning, the yogis believe you replace sleep. And I've experimented with this a lot. Many of my clients will say they accidentally fall asleep, and obviously that's okay. But the purpose is not to fall asleep, it's to stay awake, body scanning and noticing without bias. So really strengthening the connection to the whole body. I hope that's been useful. To learn more, visit seekingbalance.com.au. I have the Rocksteady community, which is a comprehensive and incredible program. And I also have Sensing Ground, which is a program for people who are wanting to learn how to connect to their eight senses and live with the body as their compass. So check it out, seekingbalance.com.au. And so bye for now.